A strange thing happens when the world finally becomes quiet. The lights go out. The phone is set aside. The room is still. Nothing is asking for your attention anymore. Yet instead of finding peace, another voice begins to speak. It reminds you of something you said years ago. It wonders whether you offended someone with a message you sent this afternoon. It starts planning tomorrow's problems before tomorrow has even arrived. The outside world has gone silent, but the one inside your head has only just begun. Most of us know this feeling so well that we barely question it. We assume endless thinking is simply part of being human, but familiarity doesn't make something healthy. A person can carry a heavy backpack for so long that they stop noticing its weight. They only realize how exhausting it was after they finally take it off. The mind works the same way. It becomes so noisy that silence starts feeling unfamiliar. Think about the last time you tried to fall asleep. Your body was exhausted, but your mind suddenly became incredibly productive. It replayed old conversations, invented future arguments, searched for problems hidden inside ordinary moments, as though staying awake could somehow keep life under control. Hours passed. Your body never left the bed, yet by morning it felt as though it had traveled hundreds of miles. Mental exhaustion often has nothing to do with physical effort. The same pattern follows us through the day. Someone gives you 10 compliments and one careless criticism. Long after the compliments disappear, the criticism keeps echoing. A friend takes longer than usual to reply. Within minutes, your mind begins writing stories. Maybe they're upset. Maybe you said something wrong. None of those conclusions came from evidence. They came from imagination wearing the mask of certainty. Then there are the conversations that never happened. You rehearse them while driving, making coffee, or standing in the shower. You explain yourself to people who aren't even there. You prepare for disasters that may never arrive. By the end of the day, you fought battles that existed only inside your own mind. No wonder so many people feel tired before life has asked anything difficult of them. Modern life makes this habit even stronger. Every notification suggests something needs your attention. Every headline hints at another reason to worry. Every scroll through social media quietly invites comparison. Eventually, thinking stops feeling like something you do. It starts feeling like something that happens to you. Here's the strange part. Your mind isn't trying to hurt you. Every anxious prediction is an attempt to prevent disappointment. Every replayed memory is an effort to avoid repeating mistakes. Every imagined future is your brain searching for safety before danger appears. The same system designed to protect you can slowly become the source of your suffering. It's like a guard dog that becomes so alert it starts barking at every passing shadow. The instinct is useful. The constant alarm is not. For centuries, people have searched for ways to quiet the mind. Many believed peace would arrive after solving every problem, answering every question, and controlling every uncertainty. Yet the calmest people discovered something different. They stopped asking the mind to do a job it was never meant to do. Because what if the problem isn't that you think too much? What if your mind has simply learned the wrong job? If you've ever tried to quiet your mind, you've probably discovered something frustrating. The harder you try to stop thinking, the louder your thoughts seem to become. You tell yourself, just relax. Within seconds, you're thinking about relaxing. Then you're wondering why it isn't working. Before long, your mind has turned even peace into another problem to solve. It can feel like something inside you is resisting silence. That feeling is real. It isn't a flaw in your character. It's the result of a brain that was built for survival long before it was built for happiness. For most of human history, survival depended on noticing danger before it noticed you. A rustle in the grass could be the wind, or it could be a predator. Over thousands of generations, the brain learned a simple lesson. It's safer to expect danger than to ignore it. That instinct helped our ancestors survive. The problem is that evolution moves much more slowly than civilization. Today, most threats don't have teeth or claws. They're deadlines, awkward conversations, unpaid bills, uncertain futures, and opinions from people we'll probably never meet. Your brain doesn't always recognize the difference. A harsh comment online isn't life-threatening, yet your nervous system can react as though something important is at risk. You've probably experienced this yourself. A video receives hundreds of encouraging comments. One person writes, "This made no sense." Hours later, which comment is still echoing in your mind? Your brain gives extra attention to negative experiences because, throughout human history, ignoring danger carried a greater cost than ignoring comfort. It's a useful survival system, but left unchecked, it quietly reshapes how you experience reality. The brain also works like a prediction machine. Before anything happens, it's already asking, what if I fail? What if they misunderstand me? What if something goes wrong? Prediction once helped humans stay alive. Today, it often creates problems that don't exist yet. When reality offers nothing urgent to solve, the mind frequently invents something. Neuroscientists have identified another reason for this. A network called the default mode network, or DMN, becomes active whenever your attention isn't focused on a task. While you're driving, standing in the shower, waiting in line, or lying awake at night, your mind naturally drifts through memories, imagined futures, unfinished conversations, and stories about yourself. The silence didn't create those thoughts. It simply gave you enough space to hear them. This also explains why uncertainty feels so uncomfortable. You send a message. No reply. Within minutes, your mind starts creating explanations. Maybe you said something wrong. The brain would rather invent a painful story than sit with an unanswered question. The same thing happens after mistakes. A small, embarrassing moment lasts seconds. Your mind replays it for days, hoping that repeating the memory will somehow prevent it from happening again. Ironically, replaying it often strengthens the memory instead of releasing it. This is where many people make a mistake. They believe thinking itself is the problem. It isn't. Thinking solves real problems. The real danger is becoming so absorbed in thought that you never realize you're thinking. A useful thought leads to action. An unconscious thought quietly steals your attention. That's the difference. Thinking isn't the enemy. Unconscious thinking is. There's one final reason silence feels uncomfortable. When the mind becomes still, it loses the constant activity that has convinced it it's staying safe. To the brain, stillness feels unfamiliar, and what feels unfamiliar often feels risky. It whispers, if you stop thinking, you'll miss something important. Yet history suggests the opposite. Our clearest decisions rarely come from endless thinking. They arrive after the noise settles. But that raises another question. Why does the mind cling so tightly to its endless thinking in the first place? Because every anxious thought is making a hidden promise, a promise it can never truly keep. If the mind is designed to protect us, then one question remains. Why does it keep working long after the danger has passed? The answer is surprisingly simple. Your mind isn't only trying to understand life. It's trying to control it. Not in an obvious way. Most of us don't believe we can control everything. But beneath countless thoughts lies a quiet hope that if we think hard enough, prepare carefully enough, or analyze every possibility, we can protect ourselves from pain before it arrives. It feels responsible. But this is where the invisible prison begins. Think about an important conversation. You rehearse every sentence. You imagine every response. You search for the perfect words, convinced that enough preparation will guarantee the outcome. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't, and afterward, you realize something uncomfortable. All those hours of thinking didn't give you control. They only gave you the feeling of control. There's a difference. One changes reality. The other changes only the story inside your head. This quiet bargain follows us through life. If I worry enough, I won't be caught off guard. If I replay the mistake, I won't repeat it. If I plan every detail, I'll finally feel safe. Every anxious thought carries the same hidden promise. Keep thinking, and suffering can be prevented. It's an understandable promise. It's also one the mind can never keep. Life has never become predictable simply because we spent more time worrying about it. Fear feeds this cycle. Not always fear of something dramatic. More often, it's the fear of uncertainty. The fear of saying the wrong thing, choosing the wrong path, losing someone, being misunderstood. Give each sentence breathing space. The mind responds the only way it knows how. It searches for certainty. When certainty can't be found, it keeps searching. That's why the same thoughts return again and again. They're not looking for attention. They're looking for an answer reality cannot provide. Regret and future anxiety are simply the same habit facing opposite directions. Regret tries to rewrite yesterday. Anxiety tries to control tomorrow. Neither can change reality, speed, yet both convince us that one more round of thinking will finally bring peace. The same pattern hides beneath perfectionism. It isn't just the desire to do excellent work. It's the hope that if everything is flawless, nothing can hurt us. But life has never promised certainty, not to the careful, the intelligent, or the prepared. Unexpected changes still happen. People still misunderstand us. Plans still fail. Trying to make life perfect often becomes another attempt to make life controllable. Across different cultures and centuries, wise people reached a similar conclusion. Suffering grows when we resist reality. A river doesn't argue with the rocks in its path. It flows around them. Human beings often do the opposite. We argue with what has already happened. We fight uncertainty before it arrives. We demand guarantees from a world that has never promised them. And while reality keeps moving, our minds remain trapped, negotiating with things they cannot control. This doesn't mean giving up. Planning has its place. Learning from mistakes has its place. Thinking has its place. The prison isn't built by planning. It's built by believing enough planning can eliminate uncertainty. The prison isn't built by thought. It's built by our attachment to thought. Once you see that difference, something begins to change. You no longer feel responsible for solving every unanswered question before allowing yourself to feel at peace. Real inner silence doesn't appear because life finally becomes certain. It appears the moment you stop asking certainty to be the price of peace. That's the turning point, not controlling every outcome, but realizing your peace was never meant to depend on control in the first place. And once that realization takes root, the weight you've been carrying begins to feel surprisingly light, as though someone quietly reminded you that you were always free to set it down. There is an old story about a young monk who believed strength could only be earned through burden. When he first entered the monastery, he noticed a large stone resting beside the mountain path. No one mentioned it. No one gave him instructions. Yet something inside him decided that carrying the stone must be part of becoming wise. So every morning before sunrise, he lifted it onto his shoulders and climbed the steep trail to the temple. Every evening, he carried it back down again. The climb was exhausting. His shoulders became sore. His hands grew rough. Some days he stumbled beneath the weight, but he never complained. He believed the burden was making him stronger. Other monks passed him on the trail. Some smiled, some bowed quietly and continued walking. No one questioned what he was doing. Years passed. The stone became part of his identity. He could no longer imagine the journey without it. One afternoon, an elderly master watched him reach the top of the mountain. Breathing heavily, the young monk finally stopped. The master asked, "Why are you carrying that stone?" "To become stronger," the monk replied. The old man nodded. "And who asked you to carry it?" The monk hesitated. No one. The master looked at the stone for a moment before asking one final question. Who told you it belonged to you? For the first time in years, the young monk had no answer. No teacher had assigned the task. No rule required it. He had picked it up on the first day because it felt meaningful. Then he carried it for so long that he forgot it had ever been a choice. Slowly, he lowered the stone onto the ground. The mountain didn't change. The temple was still there. Only one thing was different. The weight was no longer on his shoulders. Our minds often work the same way. We pick up a thought. I should have done better. What if something goes wrong? I need to figure this out before I can relax. At first, it feels temporary. A day becomes a week becomes a year. Eventually, the thought no longer feels like something you have. It feels like part of who you are. That's how mental attachment works. The longer we carry a thought, the more permanent it seems. Not because it has become true, because it has become familiar. Of course, not every thought should be ignored. Some help us solve real problems. Others simply return because we've mistaken constant thinking for responsibility. We've confused carrying the stone with making progress. The old master's question is worth remembering whenever a familiar worry returns. Who told you it belonged to you? Sometimes strength isn't carrying the weight a little longer. Sometimes strength is realizing it was never yours to carry forever. After the young monk placed the stone on the ground, something unexpected happened. The mountain didn't suddenly become easier to climb. His legs still grew tired. The path was still steep. The wind still pushed against him. Life hadn't changed. His relationship with it had. That quiet shift is easy to miss, yet it changes everything. Real change rarely comes from controlling your thoughts. It comes from changing the way you relate to them. Most people treat every thought as if it deserves immediate attention. A thought says, something is wrong, and we immediately begin searching for the problem. A thought whispers, they probably don't like you, and our emotions react before we've asked whether it's true. A thought insists, you'll fail, and the body tightens as though failure has already happened. Notice how quickly this happens. A thought appears. We believe it. Then we act as though it were reality. But a thought is simply something happening inside the mind. It isn't an instruction. It's something your brain has produced, just as your heart produces a heartbeat. Some thoughts deserve attention. Many are nothing more than mental activity. Imagine sitting beside a busy road. Cars pass every few seconds. You notice them, but you don't chase everyone. You don't run into traffic because a blue car appeared. You don't become upset because one truck was louder than the others. You simply watch. Thoughts can be approached in much the same way. Some deserve your attention. Most only need to be noticed. The problem begins when every passing thought becomes a vehicle you climb into. Before you realize it, you've been carried miles away from the present, heading somewhere you never intended to go. Something remarkable happens the moment you notice your thinking. For an instant, two things exist, the thought and the awareness that noticed it. That small gap may seem insignificant, but it changes the entire experience. If you can observe a thought, then you cannot be the thought itself. The observer and the thought are not the same. Across many cultures and traditions, this simple observation has been recognized for centuries, not as something mystical, but as a natural human ability. It's the capacity to watch the mind without immediately becoming lost inside it. This also explains why fighting thoughts often makes them stronger. Try a simple experiment. For the next 10 seconds, don't think about a white bear. Almost everyone discovers the same thing. The harder they try, the more persistent the image becomes. The mind treats resistance as importance. When you tell yourself, I must not think this, the brain quietly hears, this thought must be important. So it keeps bringing it back. The same thing happens after an embarrassing moment. You say the wrong word during a presentation. Hours later, you're still replaying it. You promise yourself you'll stop thinking about it. Yet every attempt pulls the memory back into focus. Not because your mind wants to punish you, because every struggle reminds your brain that this memory deserves attention. Attention is like sunlight. Whatever it shines on tends to grow. The pattern becomes even clearer at night. You lie down and think, I have to fall asleep. A few minutes pass. You're still awake. Now another thought appears. Why am I still awake? Then another. If I don't sleep soon, tomorrow will be ruined. Without realizing it, you've turned sleep into another task. Ironically, sleep usually arrives only after you stop trying to force it. Peace works much the same way. It cannot be wrestled into existence. Worry follows the same pattern. One anxious thought appears. Instead of simply noticing it, we argue with it. We search for proof. We imagine every possible outcome. We replay the same questions again and again. What began as a single spark slowly becomes a fire because we keep adding fuel. The thought isn't feeding itself. Our attention is feeding it. That doesn't mean ignoring genuine problems. If your roof is leaking, fix it. If you've hurt someone, make it right. Useful thinking solves real problems. Unconscious thinking keeps circling the same problem long after action is possible. One moves life forward. The other simply moves in circles. This is why awareness is so powerful. Awareness doesn't suppress thoughts. It doesn't argue with them. It doesn't judge them. It simply notices. There's worry. There's self-doubt. There's another memory. Then it allows the thought to continue on its way, much like watching a leaf drift down a river. You don't need to grab every leaf. You don't need to stop the current. You only need to remember that you're standing on the riverbank, not being carried away by the water. This leads to one of the simplest truths about the mind. A thought cannot decide how long it stays. The attention you give it often does. That's why forcing silence rarely works. Force is still a form of attention. Observation is different. Curiosity is different. The moment you stop wrestling with every thought, many of them lose the reason they kept returning. Not because you've defeated them, because you've stopped feeding them. Attention strengthens thoughts. Awareness allows them to pass. There is another story, quieter than the first, but perhaps even closer to the way many of us live. A traveler arrived at a mountain lake just before sunset. The water was so clear that it reflected the sky like polished glass. For a brief moment, he saw his own face resting peacefully on the surface. Then a gentle breeze crossed the lake. The reflection disappeared. Without thinking, he stepped closer. He believed that if he found the right position, the right angle, the right moment, he could see himself clearly again. He walked along the shore. The reflection moved with him. He walked faster. The ripples became stronger. Soon, he was running, convinced that he was only a few steps away from the perfect view. But the faster he chased it, the more distorted the image became. Hours passed. His breathing grew heavy. The sun moved lower behind the mountains. The lake that had once looked peaceful now appeared broken, but only because he had never stopped disturbing its surface. An old fisherman had been watching from a distance. When the traveler finally stopped to catch his breath, the old man smiled. "You've been chasing something that was never running away from you." The traveler looked confused. "I only wanted to see clearly." The fisherman pointed toward the water, then stopped disturbing it. That was all. No long explanation, no complicated lesson, just a simple invitation. The traveler sat beside the shore, and for the first time that evening, he did nothing. He waited. At first, nothing changed. The wind still moved across the surface. Small waves still appeared. His mind immediately began searching for a reason to get up. Waiting is useless. There must be something else to do. something else to fix, something else to control. But he stayed. Minute after minute passed. The breeze slowly weakened. The ripples became smaller. The lake gradually returned to stillness, without chasing, without forcing, without trying to capture the moment. His reflection appeared again. It had never disappeared. The movement had simply hidden it. Many people approach peace in the same way. We chase it through constant thinking. We convince ourselves that one more answer will finally quiet the mind. One more book, one more video, one more plan, one more solution. The problem is not learning or improving. The problem is believing that peace is always waiting somewhere ahead after one final discovery. We keep moving because movement feels like progress. Stillness feels uncomfortable because it appears to be doing nothing. Yet some things in life cannot be forced into existence. Sleep is one of them. The harder you try to fall asleep, the more awake you become. Trust works the same way. You cannot force someone to trust you by demanding it. Love works the same way. The tighter you try to control another person, the further genuine connection moves away. Peace follows the same principle. It appears when we stop trying to grab it. This is one of the quiet contradictions of the mind. We search for silence by creating more noise. We analyze peace. We compare ourselves with people who seem calmer. We judge ourselves for still having thoughts. Without noticing, we turn peace into another goal to achieve, another destination, another reflection we chase. The mind keeps whispering, "Keep going, you're almost there." But years can pass while the finish line continues moving further away. The traveler did not discover peace because he found a better method. He discovered it because he stopped interfering with what was already there. The lake did not become permanently still. Birds continued to sing. The wind returned. Ripples appeared again. But he no longer believed every movement needed to be corrected. He trusted the water to settle naturally. Perhaps the mind deserves the same trust. Not because every thought will vanish, but because many thoughts lose their power when we stop chasing them. Peace is rarely something we create through force. More often, it is something we notice after we stop disturbing it. And once you begin to understand this, another question naturally appears. If the human mind has become so used to constant movement, what does that look like in the ordinary lives we live today? The traveler left the lake centuries ago. The young monk placed down his stone long ago. Yet their stories continue because the human mind has changed far less than the world around it. Today, we no longer climb mountains carrying heavy stones, we carry invisible ones. And many of them fit inside a device we hold every day. Consider someone named Daniel. He's 29 years old, hardworking, respected by his team, and by most people's standards, successful. His official workday ends at 6 o'clock. His computer shuts down. He drives home. He sits with his family for dinner. From the outside, the day appears finished. But inside his mind, work is still running. A notification appears. He checks it. Nothing urgent. 10 minutes later, he opens his inbox again. Not because anyone asked him to, because something inside him feels uncomfortable when he doesn't. One evening becomes another. Soon, checking emails is no longer a conscious choice. It has become a reflex. His hand reaches for the phone before he even realizes what he is doing. The quiet moments between notifications begin to feel strangely uncomfortable. His brain has learned a simple pattern. A signal appears. He responds. He feels a brief sense of relief. Then, the cycle begins again. Psychologists describe this as a habit loop. A cue triggers a behavior, and the small reward that follows strengthens the connection. The reward isn't always happiness. Sometimes it's simply the temporary feeling that nothing important has been missed, and that small relief is enough to keep the behavior alive. Eventually, something deeper begins happening. Daniel isn't only checking emails because his job requires it. He's checking because uncertainty has started to feel uncomfortable. What if I miss something important? What if someone needs me? What if waiting creates a problem? The phone is not the real source of the struggle. The deeper struggle is the inability to sit with not knowing. Technology simply gives that discomfort endless opportunities to demand attention. The same pattern appears in ordinary relationships. A message is sent. No reply comes. 5 minutes pass, then 10. The mind begins creating explanations. Maybe they're upset. Maybe you said something wrong. Maybe something has changed. Not because there is evidence. Because the brain dislikes unfinished situations. It naturally tries to complete the picture. Every time you refresh the screen, it feels like you're searching for an answer. But often, you're only strengthening the habit of searching. Now consider someone named Maya. 5 years ago, her relationship ended. Life continued. She moved into a new apartment, started a different job, built new friendships. If you asked the people around her, they would probably say she had moved on. But sometimes, something small brings the past rushing back. A familiar song, a restaurant they once visited, an old photograph appearing unexpectedly. Suddenly, she is no longer fully in the present. She is replaying conversations that cannot be changed, thinking about what she could have said differently, what she should have noticed earlier, who she might have become if things had gone another way. The relationship ended years ago. But emotionally, the mind can continue returning to it. Strong emotional experiences are stored differently from ordinary memories. They remain easier to reactivate because the brain treats emotionally important events as something worth remembering. The intention is protection, but the result can become repetition. Each replay feels like another opportunity to solve the past. Yet every replay also tells the brain that the memory is still unfinished. So the cycle continues. Modern technology adds another challenge our ancestors never experienced. For most of human history, comparison had limits. You compared yourself with a small group of people around you, your neighbors, your community, people whose lives you actually understood. Today, before breakfast, you can compare yourself with thousands of carefully edited versions of other people's lives. Someone is traveling, someone is getting married, someone is buying a house, someone appears happier, more successful, more certain. Your brain was never designed to process the lives of millions of people at once. Yet every scroll quietly asks the same question: why aren't you there yet? This doesn't mean technology is the enemy. Technology is a tool, but every tool strengthens whatever it connects with. A magnifying glass does not create sunlight, it simply concentrates it. Our devices work in a similar way. They amplify ancient human instincts, the desire to belong, the fear of being excluded, the need for approval, the search for certainty. The brain continues receiving signals it interprets as important, even when there is no real danger. The survival system that once protected us from physical threats is now responding to a world that constantly demands attention. This is why so many people feel exhausted after an evening where they barely did anything. Their bodies rested, but their minds remained active. They were responding to messages, comparing themselves, predicting outcomes, replaying memories, following every new piece of information, not because they lack discipline, because attention has become one of the most valuable resources in the modern world. Every notification, headline, advertisement, and algorithm competes for a small piece of it. The greatest battle many people face today is not against the outside world. It is the struggle to decide what deserves access to their awareness. The good news is that awareness can be trained. Just as the mind learned these patterns through repetition, it can learn new ones through practice. The goal is not to escape your mind. That is impossible. The goal is to stop living as though every thought, every notification, and every feeling deserves control over your attention. Because a mind that can observe itself is no longer trapped inside every impulse it creates. Understanding the mind is important, but understanding alone does not create change. A person can spend years learning about anxiety, overthinking, and emotional patterns, yet still feel trapped by the same thoughts every day. The real transformation begins when knowledge becomes practice, because the goal was never to create a mind that never thinks. That is impossible. A healthy mind will always remember, imagine, question, and plan. The goal is something different. To create enough space between you and your thoughts that you can choose your response instead of being controlled by every impulse the mind creates. For years, many of us have lived with the assumption that every thought deserves attention. If the mind creates a worry, we investigate it. If the mind creates fear, we prepare for it. If the mind creates doubt, we argue with it. Slowly, without realizing it, we teach ourselves that every thought is important. But thoughts are like visitors. Some bring valuable messages. Some arrive unexpectedly and leave quickly. The mistake is inviting every visitor inside and giving each one a permanent place to stay. These 5 practices are not about fighting thoughts. They are about changing your relationship with them. The first practice begins with something extremely small. A moment between the appearance of a thought and your reaction to it. Most of our daily actions happen before we are fully aware of them. A notification appears, and the hand reaches for the phone. Someone says something uncomfortable, and a defensive response immediately rises. A memory appears, and suddenly we are living inside the past instead of the present. The thought appears, and we follow it before realizing we had a choice. The practice is simple. Before following a thought, notice it. Instead of immediately thinking, "I need to check my phone," create a small distance. "I'm noticing the urge to check my phone." Instead of, "They must be judging me," notice, "I'm having the thought that they might be judging me." The difference may seem small, but it changes your position. You are no longer completely inside the thought. You are observing it, and the moment you can observe something, you are no longer completely controlled by it. This pause does not need to last a minute. It does not need to be a perfect moment of meditation. Even 1 second is enough. That 1 second creates something powerful: choice. Without awareness, the mind pulls you into old patterns. With awareness, you have the ability to decide. Over time, this changes the relationship you have with your own thoughts. You stop asking, "How do I stop thinking?" And you begin asking, "Do I really need to follow this thought?" That question alone can change the direction of your entire day. The mind has a habit of leaving the present moment. It travels into memories that cannot be changed. It runs toward futures that have not happened. And while it is busy living somewhere else, the actual moment in front of you quietly passes by. The body offers a way back. Because the body exists only in the present, it does not live in yesterday's mistake. It does not worry about next year's uncertainty. It simply exists where life is happening. When your thoughts begin becoming overwhelming, return your attention to something physical. Notice your breathing. Feel your feet touching the ground. Pay attention to the sounds around you. Feel the movement of your hands. Observe the simple sensations that are already happening. You are not escaping your thoughts. You are reminding yourself that thoughts are only one part of your experience. Reality is much larger than the stories happening inside your mind. Think about walking through a familiar street. Many times, your body completes the journey while your mind is somewhere completely different. You reach your destination and realize you barely noticed anything along the way. But when attention returns to the present, ordinary moments become different. The sound of footsteps, the feeling of the wind, the warmth of sunlight, the movement of people around you. Nothing outside has changed. Only your attention has returned. And sometimes that is enough. The human mind dislikes uncertainty. When something is unclear, it immediately tries to complete the picture. A friend does not reply. The mind creates explanations. A future decision feels uncertain. The mind creates possible disasters. A situation feels unfinished. The mind demands closure. But life contains many questions that cannot be answered immediately. Some require patience. Some require experience. Some may never receive a satisfying answer. This practice is simple. Choose one unanswered question and allow it to remain unanswered. Maybe you do not know how a situation will turn out. Maybe someone else's opinion about you is unclear. Maybe the future direction of your life has not revealed itself yet. Instead of forcing certainty, practice saying, "I don't know yet." Those 3 words can feel uncomfortable, but they can also be freeing, because uncertainty is not the same as danger. Not knowing does not mean something is wrong. It simply means life is still unfolding. The mind often believes it needs the entire path before taking the first step, but life rarely works that way. Most important moments are discovered while moving forward, not before. Tomorrow, your mind will still remember old mistakes. It will still wonder about the future. It will still produce ideas, questions, worries, and plans. That is what healthy minds do. A river doesn't stop flowing because you've learned to appreciate it. The sky doesn't stop producing clouds because you've learned not to fear the rain. The mind will continue creating thoughts for as long as you live. The invitation was never to stop the river. It was to stop believing you had to swim after every leaf floating downstream. For many years, you may have believed that peace would arrive after one final problem was solved. After the right relationship, after enough money, after complete certainty, after every question had an answer. It's an understandable belief. The mind has spent a lifetime trying to protect you. It assumed that if every uncertainty could be removed, then peace would naturally follow. But life has never worked that way. Every answer eventually gives birth to another question. Every ending opens the door to another beginning. If peace depends on certainty, it will always remain just over the horizon. What if peace asks for something entirely different? Not more certainty, not more control, not more thinking, but less resistance. There is a quiet difference between hearing a thought and wrestling with it, between feeling fear and becoming ruled by it, between noticing uncertainty and demanding that it disappear. That difference is where inner silence begins, not because the noise has ended, because the struggle has. Think back to the young monk carrying the heavy stone. The mountain never became smaller. He simply stopped carrying what had never belonged to him. Think of the traveler running beside the lake. The reflection wasn't hiding. His own movement was hiding it. Think of the empty cup. Nothing new could enter until there was space to receive it. Each story pointed toward the same lesson from a different direction. The burden wasn't life itself. The burden was believing you had to control what was never yours to control. Now, return to the beginning. It's late at night. You're lying in bed. A familiar thought appears. Perhaps it's about tomorrow. Perhaps it's about yesterday. A few weeks ago, that thought might have carried you away for hours. Tonight, something different happens. You notice it. You don't rush to solve it. You don't argue with it. You don't believe it simply because it arrived. You let it be what it is, a passing event inside the mind. Then your attention gently returns to your breath, to the feeling of the blanket, to the quiet rhythm of the room. The thought drifts through. Another one may come. That's all right. Clouds were never the problem. For the first time, you remember that you are the sky. This doesn't mean tomorrow will be perfect. There will still be difficult conversations, unexpected disappointments, moments of grief, moments of uncertainty. Inner peace doesn't promise an easier life. It offers a steadier way of meeting the life that already exists. A mind at peace still feels sadness. It still experiences fear. It still thinks, but it no longer treats every passing thought as an emergency. And that changes everything. There is something deeply comforting about that realization. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to erase your thoughts. You don't need perfect discipline. The silence you've been searching for isn't waiting at the end of a long journey. It's revealed each time you stop resisting the present moment. Not all at once, Not forever, just one quiet moment after another. And over time, those moments begin to feel less like rare visitors and more like home. So if, after this video ends, your mind starts wandering again, don't see it as failure. Simply notice it. Smile if you can, and gently come back. Not because you're forcing yourself to be peaceful, because you're remembering where peace has been all along. The mind becomes quiet not when it has answered every question, but when it no longer believes every question must be answered. If these reflections helped you see your own mind a little more clearly, and you'd like more conversations about psychology, philosophy, and timeless wisdom, I'd be grateful if you joined me by subscribing. Until next time, take good care of your mind. And whenever the world becomes noisy, remember that the deepest silence has never been somewhere else. It has been waiting patiently beneath the noise all along.